Welcome to another Cuban Coffee. I'm Chill, and today we're going to talk about whether or not you should be putting battles from March of the Machine into your cube. Making a decision about whether or not you should include battles is really going to be based on your own vision and play goals for your environment. Now, battles are a new card type, and new card types are very exciting. The last time we got new card types was with the original Planeswalkers way back in 2007. So the fact that Wizards is introducing a new card type now means these are exciting new game pieces for Magic the Gathering itself. And it's not an outlandish assumption that battles are going to have as big an impact on the game as Planeswalkers did. So what is a battle? Well, first of all, battle's just the card type that you can play on your main phase when you have priority. When you cast the battle and it resolves, you get to determine who its protector is. In the case of March of the Machine, all battles are sieges, which means that the protector must be one of your opponents. Now, battles enter the battlefield with a number of defense counters as indicated on the lower right-hand corner of the card. And when the defense counters go to 0, battles will go to the graveyard. Now, in the case of sieges, a siege doesn't go to the graveyard when its defense reaches 0. Instead, the card is exiled, and then you as its controller can choose to cast the backside of the card without paying its mana cost. This means that all battles currently available in Magic are sieges that are double-faced cards. Now, new game pieces are going to inherently increase the complexity of Magic as a game. But this is doubly true for double-faced cards, as they have both rules text on the front and backside of the card. This means if you choose to include siege battles in your environments, you are going to be increasing the complexity of not only the draft experience, because players are going to have to take those cards out of sleeves and flip them over to read the backside, but also deck building considerations and gameplay decisions. So overall, including battles in your cube is going to increase the complexity of your environment. This is something to consider if you are drafting with a lot of new players. And it's not like the backside of battles all do the same thing. In fact, the backside of all current 36 battles includes 7 different card types that just increases that complexity even further. Now, because battles are probably going to increase complexity in board states, it's my opinion that most battles are going to lead to what's been termed as big games. So Sam Black in an article wrote about big games versus small games. And this topic's actually been recently discussed on the Lucky Paper Radio podcast. I'll link both Sam's article and the link to the podcast in the notes below. But the broad strokes about big and small games is big games are games that have a lot of permanence in them and a lot of cards in hand. Just think about the number of objects in the game itself. The more objects in that game, so the more permanents on the battlefield and cards in hand, those are defined as big games. Whereas the converse is true for small games, so very few permanents on the battlefield, few cards in hand. So out of the 36 battles that exist in March of the Machine, right now 9 remove permanents from the board or some sort of removal, and the other 27 are either neutral or add permanents to the battlefield. So through that lens alone, battles are going to increase or vote for big games rather than small games. If that's something you're looking to do, if you're looking to have your environment cater to big and complex board states, then maybe battles are something you want to test out. Whereas if you are trying to cultivate more small game feel, maybe not all battles are right for your environment. While the normal way to interact with a battle is to attack it with your creatures, battles, because they have counters on them, the defense counters, cards that specifically remove counters are going to pair very well with battles. Right now, cards that remove counters are very closely aligned with the black color pie, with cards, for example, like Hex Parasite, Vampire Hexmage, and Cemetery Desecrator, and other similar type cards. So these cards offer a way to interact with a battle that is not just simply by attacking with creatures, and it may be an option for you to consider in your own environment. Additionally, because battles are a brand new and distinct card type, cards with the Delirium mechanic are going to benefit if you include battles in your environment. The more card types that you have in your environment, the easier it's going to be for cards with Delirium to be activated. And right now, even if you're playing at the peaks of power, right, a power maximized cube, Cards like Dragon's Rage Channeler, Unholy Heat, and Grim Flayer, that kind of stuff. Those cards will be benefited if you add battles to your cube. And let's not forget the OG card that cares about distinct card types, Tarmogoyf. Overall, battles are a very unique card type that's going to increase complexity in the draft. It's going to offer some new deck building options while players are building their decks. It's going to increase decisions and complexity during the game. In my opinion right now, battles are big game cards, so if you're looking for big board states, battles will likely fit in quite easily. Now, if you're on the fence like me about adding battles to your cube, I recommend just focusing on the battles that are lower in mana value, like the 2 or 3 mana value battles, and specifically maybe only those battles that remove permanents from the board. That way, the battle is always going to be useful, and you can almost ignore the backside if you need to. And it's a way to just maybe test out to see how battles play in your environment. So using Planeswalkers as a historical example, I'm personally very excited for the future of battles, just as a game piece and design space for Wizards. Richard Garfield originally had a game mechanic idea called structures that he wasn't able to implement, and so this is kind of the natural implementation of that original idea. And I'm just excited to see how these game pieces evolve into the future. If you personally have found a great and novel way to include battles into your own cube environments, let me know about it. I want to see those sweet cubes, and let's share it with the community. But anyways, thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling with me here. Don't touch that dial, and let's keep cubing.